should technically be live now, I think. I think I'm live on YouTube now.
Hello, YouTube.
Let me go ahead and see. Cause I'm on YouTube Studio. So hold on here. Let me pull up my channel, and then I'll link it in the in the Discord. I think. Fuck, my mic is really buzzy. I have no idea why.
It started going fuzzy and now it's gone away a little bit.
Oh, it's probably because I bumped everything down and I took the gate filter off of it. Holy shit. I didn't realize it was that buzz. I mean, I know it's like a fucking shitty, like, $20 condenser microphone, but still. Let me add just like a fucking...
$20 for a condenser microphone?
Yeah. I mean, it comes from like China. It's called like a Wars, but still. I'm gonna add a noise suppressor. And
I feel like maybe I should upgrade my mic before I do another video.
Alright. Hopefully now it's not going to like buzz so much, and I'm still gonna be like in the clear on that. So let's see.
I think I should
I think I'm live on YouTube.
upgrade to a condenser mic for my next video.
I
do anything else.
I would say so. Hold on here. And then let me put this in Discord.
$20 for a condenser microphone.
Yeah. I mean, it comes from like China. It's called like a Wars. Let's see. I'm just like testing all this shit out at this point.
I've been trying to do it on the cheap, adding a bit of a condenser on top with sound effects.
we
kind of works, but
we need to get you a.
I think I should.
We need to get you a. Holy shit! My YouTube chat box still fucking sucks. Am I really gonna have to do custom CSS for this? Well, I guess, you know, it's part of the learning. I guess I'm glad that I know some CSS. Let's see. I think I technically had some written for like a custom chat strip.
Is your YouTube channel?
Yeah, for like my YouTube chat, where it was like, okay, I'm gonna like have something. Unless it's I'm just seeing like in the corner where it's like.
Where did you paste the link?
Check your Discord DMs.
Okay.
Let's see if it shows up. Let's see if it'll show up on. Yes, it does. Cool. Okay. Interesting. There we go. Okay, I don't have to write custom. I don't have to do that much custom CSS. So, there we go. Interesting. Let's take a look and see who the fuck is on YouTube now. Let's see what's on YouTube. Aside from that, let's see who's live on YouTube. Because I'm pretty sure that I put it in. Yeah, I linked you to my channel there. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay, cool. Let me know if it sounds like different on my YouTube. Like if it's buzzy and there's static or something.
I think it sounds better.
Sounds better? Alright, cool. I'm still
Yeah,
gonna I'm still gonna bump up the I'm gonna bump it up so I'm not like completely in the red, but I'm still gonna bump it up to where like I'm pretty pretty
just
good.
So it clips the red occasionally.
Yeah. I just wanted to like bust a little bit up into. Alright, let's see. Who's broadcasting on YouTube? Because technically we could just fucking go hog wild here and fucking bust everything. Let's see. I wonder if she is streaming. Ooh, she's streaming about Destiny getting banned.
recognized as an effective therapy. Like, what about your? I mean, what if you're like, I don't know. I don't really trust your ability to pronounce like, oh yeah, no, this is a really effective therapy that everyone should use. Like, what if your shit is, you know, whatever? Wait, what did she say exactly? 30.
Okay, let's do a little bit of an experiment.
I also think it's ridiculous, once again, to make other people accept.
Yeah, your delusion. So what if your
Oh shit! It's about the
EMDR shit is a delusion.
it's about the fucking Destiny dick pic cancellation.
Anything that you don't agree with.
Oh, I can fucking show my meme. I can show my meme now. My meme's not banned.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Because my meme had my meme.
Dick pic cancellation. Oh dear. Go on, explain.
Okay, so the thing is that some crazed fucking some fucking insane QAnoner showed a picture of her phone that had Hunter Biden on it doing some, you know, pretty adult things on it. And that apparently was considered a violation of Twitch TOS, so Destiny got banned for displaying sexual content. So I made this meme that's currently up on my stream. And it's like
actually what Destiny got banned for?
Yeah, Destiny literally got banned for showing Hunter Biden's
That's
dick.
what they got him in the end for, eh?
Yep. They finally got him. Finally got him. Although there's talks that it's not like a permanent ban. It's just a ban that doesn't have any specific end time. So it's technically like it's technically a fucking permanent ban. But
they gave into the pressure, the economic pressure from Vosh, I think.
They gave into
how popular he was getting on YouTube.
I mean, he
their audience away.
He did go to Facebook Gaming, which does offer contracts. So apparently he's got a dual stream contract with Facebook Gaming. So way to go.
Okay, so that's what the game streams are about.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he's been trying to like lay off of like talking to like leftists and shit again, less of it's specific.
Okay.
But also at the same time, like those are his like big sellers. So let's see.
Yeah.
That's child abuse now?
Wait, are these divorced parents and the
Okay, I don't know. I'll see if she wants to team up and talk about this. But I don't know if you could see this beautiful meme, because the girl on the left in the bondage gear is the second highest person on Twitch's no chatting. Or on Twitch's just chatting.
Okay, that meme makes a bit more sense now. I didn't understand that at all. That made no sense to me at all.
Yeah, it's because she talks, and also apparently she's not doing anything overtly sexual, and because she's by a swimming pool, in the context of being by a swimming pool, it makes sense that she would be in a very revealing bikini. As to why she would be in bondage gear for a sex swing, I'm not exactly sure where that fits into the swimming pool dilemma.
Yeah, I kind of get what it was gesturing towards, but not quite. I didn't quite get the
versus like, you know.
I assumed that it was because Destiny had said the N-word or something, or just I don't know because.
Well,
done something racist.
this right here is as much of Hunter Biden that was shown. Right. Like you need to like fucking act. You need to fucking. Anything. Enhance to just like even
enhance zoom.
Just because it was like she held her phone up before she got, yeah, she got there we go. And you still can't see fucking anything. Because she was holding her phone up to it, and it was a picture that was on the Washington Post. Like clearly it's an image of significance. It might have.
Is that a picture of his dick?
It's a picture of him railing some prostitute. I don't know.
Okay, it's like a cloud. I can see maybe a few images.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that it's like a fucking. It does not help that. It doesn't help that it's. It doesn't help that it's a fucking. That it's a fucking. She's holding her phone up to a webcam, which is automatically going to blow out all of the whites anyway, so it's going to be like auto blurry. I don't know. I don't get it. I think that I wonder if it's still up. Because Destiny did say the N-word on stream before. And since I'm on since I'm on YouTube, I could say it.
Just naturally assumed that's what it was. That it was something related to because of this because of the hot tub streamers. Like how okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, hot tub streaming is a way to get around the TOS because it's a lot like they get around the TOS because it's like it's only sexual if it's in a place where it doesn't make sense. So it's like you could be in a bikini and essentially have your tits out because you're in a hot tub. But it's like, at what point does that draw the line? Because most people are like in a hot tub that's like a baby pool that's in like their like living room. So it's like I don't get it. But yeah, I don't know. It's fucking weird. Like even Finster was talking about how like if he gets banned for showing his ass on stream because he bought new leggings that made his ass really like bulge out. He was like, if I get banned for this, I'm going to go to Just Chatting and I'm gonna find Amaranth and I'm gonna fucking pull up her stream with just her tits hanging out because she does yoga streams, which apparently makes it okay then to essentially like dress like you're in. I still think there's a debate to be had about all of this, and also Twitch's head of content management seems to have decided that like to just say, hey, I have no fucking idea what our content even is, because somebody tweeted at him, why was Destiny banned, and his reply was probably lost the debate. And it was like
it's probably more because they didn't want him anymore.
They wanted him off because he was making more viewers on his YouTube stream, and then he was also he was probably gonna go to, since he wasn't a Twitch partner, probably gonna go to Facebook Gaming, and now that he's at Facebook Gaming and has a Facebook contract, it's. I don't know. It's like Dr. Disrespect, but it's also Twitch is losing so much money. Let's see if we could talk to her about this, because I have some thoughts on this. Because I actually had to message my parasocial daddy Destiny to apologize for my Twitter username. Like I messaged him a giant ass wall of text to say when he was talking about Crystal Ball and her Bill Gates conspiracy, and then I messaged, and then like he said something on stream about my Twitter username, and so then I had to message him again on Discord and be like, also, by the way, I'm sorry that I'm sorry, parasocial daddy. It's like, I'm sorry, parasocial daddy, that I did that.
That was the thing that she shared.
Yeah, it's like okay, well, all right. It's like I technically should have like at least put in like the Discord like, hey, like as a joke, I'm going to use like this as a Twitter name, but still.
You changed it enough, and his logo is new enough that
Yeah, I specifically did it as a parody, but then people were like legitimately, because a lot of my takes align with like what Destiny tweets out, that there was some confusion about that.
Right. Yeah.
Ooh. But yeah.
I think as long as you state in your profile any similarity to anyone else is I get no, because he doesn't really go by that. Yeah, it's more of a civility thing, I guess. Is it anyway? He's banned from there anyway, isn't he? So.
Yeah, I don't know. I also think that it's going to be a really fucking huge crush to small creators. Like,
sorry.
I don't think they thought of how much of a crush this is going to be for small creators. Because like,
why?
Well, like, okay, so let's even assume that like the serfs aren't like within the grand stream of things considered to be small creators on Twitch. Just like because like to us, like obviously they're giant creators because you know they're able to like Lance could probably comfortably live off of the money that he's making from Twitch, right? The thing is though is like when it comes to like that, he is nowhere near like he doesn't have like any of the amount of viewers that like XQC or like the actual like gamers on Twitch have. So
Yeah.
but when Destiny goes on when Destiny goes on the serfs to have like a debate with like with somebody, like either the debate lands or when they're reviewing a debate that Destiny had, their numbers go up. Like they were like fucking 15k Andes, and then they were like 50k Andes during the entire debate with Richard Wolff. So and the fact that like Aristocracy had her on had Destiny on really boosted her channel as well too. So yeah, I don't know. Hey, I'm trying to like fucking make sense of NCC's chat. Hey fam, yes, MDNR is great for disassociation, complex PSD, that sort of thing. Okay, so wait, what? Are they talking about curing transgender disorder? Okay, well, first of all, complex PSD is really hard to like describe as to like what it is.
I'm meant to be able to hear this, what they're saying.
Oh no, like I don't want to get a like fucking strike from her. I'll just pull up like my Twitch dashboard real quick. I was just seeing like what the fuck they were talking about. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no,
I'm trying to see if Eris wants to talk because I know that she's been going through a few things and she's pretty good for bumping something. Just because it's like, I don't know. I think Aristocracy is a nice person. She's really, really cool. We're going to, after the debate on Sunday, I'm going to talk with Aristocracy for a little bit and try to get my GoFundMe up and running. Also try to boost my Twitch viewer numbers.
yes.
What the fuck is Trekkie doing today? It's like, I want to check out Chelsea's stream of Hearts of Iron, but I don't want to like get a strike on that. Also, I use my fucking alternative player on this to see what the fuck is going on. Let's see what this dipshit's talking about. Oh, fucking Rachel's there. Jesus Christ. I fucking hate Rachel. So what is it? It's that has not moved. That has been the same amount of money that the Is Trans Lifeline actually doing a May Day fundraiser, or is he just, are they just doing this for clout? Let's see here. I want to check this out because if they're just doing this for clout, it's fucking dirty. And of course, the first place, instead of Googling for the answer, we should just fucking go to Twitter. Let's see, Trans Lifeline, and then let's take a look. Let's see if they put out anything about a May Day. Evidently, we want you to remember that. Trans rights, check out our list of resources. Okay, so they have a list of resources. Do they have a... Okay, this is...
I know you hate black and tan, so...
Okay.
My Discord is freezing right now.
Wait, before I get to that drawing, someone donated like something that's worth 20 minutes, right?
Okay. So from what I can tell, they're not doing a stream. Like Trans Lifeline isn't doing. Let's see here.
Oh, no, really?
Let's see.
We don't know who did the 20 minute
No one's contacted
Streamin is
me or anyone.
I
they're
want to see because
saying that they're affiliated officially, kind of thing.
yeah, well, I'm trying to see because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, we're streaming for Trans Lifeline. Okay, so
Remember, everyone, if you donate $300,
let's see. Where's the donation link?
We'll draw feet pics.
Okay, so there's a Tiltify. So that I know is going directly to Trans Lifeline. Because Tiltify goes directly to Trans Lifeline.
I've seen it happen
Right.
before.
Rather than to a GoFundMe, which that one was.
Yeah, that's a GoFundMe. That
And it is. I recognise the.
let's see here. Let's read through this and see what's
sneaky, really, isn't it? Taking a.
okay.
There's no point in diverting it through GoFundMe.
Okay, so it's not even Trans Lifeline. That's actually this is fucking snaky shit. This is fucking snake shit.
What about that T-shirt one? That sounded like fun.
Okay, so they're organizing for that, but it's not a Trans Lifeline fundraiser. It's a fundraiser to donate money to.
Mm.
This is snake shit. Who the fuck is this person? Because they need fucking cranged. Let's check out their Twitter. I bet it's cringe. Okay, so they started this 6 hours ago. They're a Twitch streamer.
Alright, sure.
Are they affiliated?
Hey, chat/audience members.
It does say that. I guess you'd have to take them at the.
Yeah. Here. Okay, so we're on a countdown to May Day, where I will be holding a 24-hour fundraiser. Okay, so this person is holding the fundraiser. It's not Trans Lifeline that's holding the fundraiser. It's this person that's doing the fundraiser for them versus if you wanted to donate directly, you could just use either the link on Trans Lifeline's website or the Tiltify. Why is nobody? Why?
It would be better for the charity because less
Yeah, because
commission would be taken. I didn't realize how much.
Yeah,
how much
GoFundMe.
take from GoFundMe.
GoFundMe is horrible when it comes to
Yeah.
fucking.
Alright, let me get this up.
I don't know.
And I'll get it up on stream, so we can let some audience members play.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's because like Tiltify, it's not going to like take like percentages away right now.
It'd be
But
less
it's-
middlemen anyway.
Yeah, there's less middle, there's less ins
Less
and out.
middlemen just in order to have like a chart that displays how much goes up. But I guess that's kind of part of the engagement. So you get to see.
But the thing is with Tiltify, you would get a bar that you could put at the bottom of your Twitch. So every time it got donated, like every time you got a dono,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It would pop up.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Actually, they should have
Because-
used the Tiltify thing.
because this right here, this is just a Stream Elements. This is just an OBS browser source.
Yeah.
The best part about the Hacker Manifesto, written by a trans. The last time I read the Hacker Manifesto, it was not good. And I don't think, because it was written by. It was not.
Crazy libertarian, I assume.
If it's the if it's the Trans Manifesto that I'm thinking of, it was the one from Frack, which. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna turn that down. I don't want to get. Okay. Because it was written by a mentor. That's what I know. Junior high school, listen. And I know mentor was this guy. Lloyd Blankenship right here. Only because like he was super into doing Grups games. Like he was a hacker. He wrote for Frack, and then he wrote the Cyberpunk RPG. But the thing is that somebody in chat just said it was written by a trans person, which is not true. Stop, like, I love. I love the fact that we're just now into like full on like we're just acting like white dudes. We're just appropriating everything that anybody has ever done. Lloyd Blankenship's done enough stuff on their own. They don't need somebody to be like, oh, actually, like fucking they created Cyberpunk. Like the actual Cyberpunk. That's so bad to just be like, oh yeah, it was written by. That I don't know. That is. It's like when people come over and they're like when people come into something and they're like, actually, that was invented by. Like people will argue like if pasta was invented by like the Chinese or Italians, because in their head they want to believe that it was invented by like Italians. Like they can't rationalize the fact that certain things weren't invented in Europe, so they like, well, they might have had like noodles in China, but they obviously they didn't have the kinds of pastas that we. It just feels like that. Like it feels like we're just trying to export everything, or the way that we examine things historically, and we'll be like, oh well, a lot of older cultures had, more than two genders, so that third gender has to be transgender. And it's like, no, we can't like impose like our like ideological beliefs that we have right now, like as we stand today, onto like a culture that fundamentally doesn't exist anymore. Like it's like going back and being like, there's a big debate about there was a Viking that was buried, and they were buried with things that you would typically see buried with like a like in a female grave, but it was like, and everybody was arguing like this was a trans Viking, and it's like, no, it was a Viking that was buried with like in a female style, but like we can't say definitively that like this person identified as a member of like a trans style idea, or if they were just like maybe there was like a third gender within like Viking society or like that specific time. Like we can't just like blanket everything and go, okay, they're part of the LGBTQ community, because I don't know, it feels very, very imperialistic and like culture. It feels very appropriative.
I think there are about 4 or 5 different cultures. There was a really interesting Twitter thread talking about all the different like third genders in all different cultures today, not just.
I have, because I wrote a thing, because there's a streamer named Lasoyo who is a First Nations person apparently in Canada. They're not.
Yeah. That's First Nations.
They're not good people. Like specifically, like this. Like when I say not good people, like this person is specifically not a good person. Like
right.
they told another streamer that they should go back to Africa, and everybody's just like, oh well, he meant that in like like the imperialism way. And it's like there's no way that you could make that imperialism. Like even if they're like a white South African, like that's still like fucking getting way too close to anything at all. Like that you should not say. But this person's always like, we need to protect our trans brothers and sisters. I know people that are two-spirit, which is a common word that people ascribe to like Native American culture systems. However, it's actually derived from an English word that was retranslated into Ojibwa, which was a Native American language. So it's like an English word that we then tried to translate into an Amerindian language, and then we were just like, that's how we're gonna do it, because it was the 1800s, and we're like, that's it. So I was like, when I wrote like a certain manifesto, I was like, so let's just break down what seems to be Lasoyo's strange belief in what protecting the sisters means. First, I don't know anyone who is actively a two-spirit. Would actually accept the LGBTQI label, much less the transgender label. Two-spirit was not intended to be interchanged with LGBT Native American or gay Indian. Rather, it was created in English, then translated into Ojibwa to serve as a Pan-Amerindian unifier, and led to the notion that two-spirit equals transgender is to say that people like the Hijara of like my culture of like Central Asia are also transgender, despite the fact that based off of the cultures that we have, they were not born male and wanted to be Hajira. They were born Hajira and were always Hajira, if that makes sense. And it's like, it's just
No, what's Hajira? Are you talking about what we call tomboys?
they're a third
in Russia.
They're a third gender that's they're a third gender that exists in Southeast and Central Asia that shares like they share traits of both male and feminine sides, but most of the time they dress feminine. But that doesn't mean that they're, you know, trans, because they're, in terms of our cultural expectations as like Tajiks and like Singaporeans, they were born as Hijira. They weren't born as, you know, male or female and then like and then started to identify as Hijira. They were always born that way, despite them having, you know, a genetic sex organ, if that makes sense.
Not really. It kind of. But
Well,
maybe need to.
so like the notion is that like as like trans people, we're born with a specific genetic sex, but we identify our gender with the other sex, either be it through dysphoria or other reasons. We're just like, okay, we are obviously female, or we're non-binary, or, you know, we're completely agender, things like that. But the point is that we're transitioning to be the gender that we feel that we are. Whereas like in Judaism, which has, I believe, like 5 different genders, if you read like the Talmud, if you were born as one of those, you wouldn't be transgender. You would just be that gender because, you know, you were born that way.
So you mean like they assign you that gender at birth, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like, you know, okay, they like, because like especially in like Central Asia culture, like you don't get like a specific gender identifier. You're like, yeah, like we have to eventually go through and, you know, because we still hold on to the belief of you know, the Islamic belief of going through and being like, hey, ooh.
Is that not just because there is a hole in kind of Western culture that wasn't being filled as a niche, and that's why that it's always kind of going to be transitioning towards that, because it's kind of, you know, transitioning rather than
it's the idea that
if there's already like a cultural place for them, there's nothing for people, there's nothing to transform to, you know, I guess.
Yeah, it's like you're born that gender role, so you're not transitioning to that gender. But in Western society, because we have, you know, the like, you know, binary gender system that's popular, we're like, okay, well, like obviously, despite the fact that for as long as I can remember, I've always been.
You mean, yeah. So yeah. So I guess that's an interesting point you've raised there, because I guess that in a sense that your identity is kind of almost bound into kind of
it's.
I don't want to say oppression. I don't want to say oppression and make it sound like you know
like we're doing the oppression
conservative argument, but yeah, it kind of, yeah, I don't know. Kind of does kind of put you at a systemic disadvantage where you're always seeing yourself as not being complete in society.
Yeah, like it's the thing is that most people who will argue for this kind of thing on like most Twitch arguments that I see about you know, trans rights and things like that, they always conflate trans rights with like other specific kinds of rights. Like Demon Mama made the argument for like, oh well, that obviously means like furry rights, and it's like, well, I don't believe like, well, I went through my phase of like being a 4chaner and being like, ooh, furries are like gross, or and like all that stuff. It's like I've come to accept that like, yeah, like furries aren't all Nazi weirdos. Like furries are cool when they're cool furries, and obviously they should have the ability to express themselves sexually by wearing like a dog costume or something. But the thing is that there's a difference between dressing up as a dog and like fundamentally being born and believing, like from as long as you can fundamentally remember, that there's something wrong with reality as a whole, and falling into the idea that like essentially you're in the Matrix because everything internally is telling you that you are a woman, but externally like the stimuli that you see doesn't match what you feel internally. So
Yeah.
like that
Yeah,
causes
yeah.
like a lot of like depression and things like that. And then since society doesn't know how to deal with it, or even worse, like you made a choice to do that, and then like it could lead you down some like really dark paths of being like, well, I can, you know, like just sort of therapy my way out of this and do like some sort of correctional therapy, or I could, you know, do XYZ and get this done. And in the end, it's like none of that accomplishes anything. We need to actually sit there and define like what gender is as like a mental state versus and I feel like there's a lot, like especially in Germany, there's a lot more research that was done that prove that gender was
destroyed.
different from and you know then fucking Nazis burnt it. Also, I'm gonna light up a joint because I'm on YouTube now, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
No, yes, so that was an interesting point in that, like linguistically, I guess, trans does suggest that it's always in transition. It's like linguistically, it's like I don't know. I don't want to like offend you, but like, doesn't it feel like the word trans is still kind of very temporary rather than a
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna get canceled for this take if anybody clips on my YouTube, but I know that I'm a trans woman because I'm transitioning, but also
yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it suggests the word transitioning.
yeah, it because there's some people that like there's a whole discussion as to like at least like back when I was like arguing on Twitch panels and shit, as you know, when I was back dressing like a boy arguing on Twitch panels, it was like, well, you know, are you like born this way? Are you this? Are you that? And, like, how does it feel? And it's like at the same time, like I was having like all these internal pressures. It's like I want to get to a point where it's not like we're trans women. It's like we're women who were born in like a very different set of ways, but we're still women. Because people will always say like trans women are women, but then they'll go like, oh, trans, like, oh, you know, they're trans girl, and it's like, well, yes, but I want that to be temporary. Like I want that to be like an explanation of that. Like it's a therapeutic process that we're going as we're easing into our world. And then you have like radical people like fucking that essence of thought dumbass Ethel, who's like, well, I'm a fucking rage against the machine style person. I don't want anybody to go stealth. And it's like, I feel like being stealth would be some way that I want to live more so, just because I want people to see me as a woman fully and not be like, you're a woman, but also you're a trans woman. It's like there's much like it feels like we're still making a second class woman for like women like me. And it's like, well, like in terms of like what defines womanhood, the only thing that makes me fundamentally different from a woman, because like, you know, I have Kilfners, so I do have 2 X's. So like that argument fails that I can't be a woman because I have 2 X's. I have a Y, but I have 2 X's. And also the argument is that okay, so like I have breasts. Generally, like in terms of like what we accept a woman to be, like right now I'm rocking like a Karen haircut, which Karen culture appropriated from like AFI screamo culture. But like I have that haircut, which generally is accepted to be like a rather like feminine one. I obviously have breasts. I have a very voluptuous, nice ass. I'm wearing really, really cool thigh highs. I'm, you know, wearing a skirt, obviously. Everything that we would say socially would be defined as feminine is something that I do and do daily. But also there's the like thought process of like what is a feminine thought and what isn't. And it's like that's where it gets harder, because at that point you're just kind of like stereotyping like what a feminine thought is, because it's like I'm pretty sure that like Sniper Wolf has different thoughts like in her daily life than like someone like Amaranth, who's just like, yeah, I want to be seen by men as like meat. And it's like there's a time and a place for like men to see you as meat. I like that as well, but like basing your entire idea that like femininity is being seen as, you know, meat by like fucking cis dudes is a bit weird. But also like giving yourself the label of trans woman too comes with the notion that like you either have cis dudes that are like only like chasers, or you have cis dudes that see you as like a gay man who's transitioning, and that's like a whole nother fucking bottleneck. Like I could have like a whole like canceled talk on like what it means to be like trans, like, the trans experience.
It is quite.
I'm probably gonna get canceled on. Oh, not talking about anything.
I find it interesting thinking about the way that like language can constrain us.
Yeah, because like obviously like it feels like, in my mind at least, being like, oh, you're a woman, but also you're a trans woman. It's like, well, like you're trying to assign like a secondary class of womanhood to me. It's like you're not. It almost feels like you're not whole woman. When it's like, yes,
No.
I am whole woman. I'm trying really hard to be entirely whole woman, to have 3 holes as a woman. But like right now, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to put up with like me having 2. If you have a problem with that, then I'm sorry. But yeah.
No, I can understand that. It is complicated, but my point was that the way that society linguistically frames things.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd never really thought about that because trans is suggesting like a temporary state.
Yeah, like
It almost.
it implies that at some point there is an end.
Linguistically puts you at a disadvantage.
Yeah, because like
almost. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, also, it's just the way that like English language is syntactically structured. It's so fucked up. Because it's like transition implies that at some point it will end, which I've never seen like, you know, anybody identify with like as like a post-trans. Like, you know, there's like like, you know, there's like cancer survivor. You know, there's like
You
post
finally made it.
like post-menopausal. There's things like that, but there's never like there's only post-op trans. There's not, you know, post-trans, which I like.
Finally made it, but because like there's different types of people, and people do want to go, you know, transition to different stages. So,
Well, like that's the thing, is like even by saying like post-op, it makes it sound like, you know, like the only way to like be post anything with transition is to have like bottom surgery in its entirety and be 100% stealth.
Then it
but then
almost invalidates the people that want to keep their penis there. So
yeah, like people are specifically fine with like, you know, having the genitals that they have, and it's like, you know, it invalidates like a whole swath of people, including like non-binary people who aren't, you know, one way or the other. So it's like we need to, I think Riley Grace Rashong, when she was talking about Demon Llama, was right in the sense that she said we need to define what gender is, so that way when we're arguing specifically for, you know, rights, that we have something to argue with, as opposed to just being, you know, this is, you know, XYZ in the fucking kitchen sink. Because at that point, you're just sort of I don't know. Like I said, I always followed the debate club tactic of, what is your opponent going to argue? Think about that, then think of counterpoints from that. Like put yourself in that position, like argue with yourself from the complete opposite end, and then come up with arguments for that. Because it's like, we can show that like with brain scans that like there are a large percentage amount of people who are on the extreme high end of dysphoric that have brains that more closely model, like that more closely resemble models of like biofem's brains. And like even biofem is like biofem is also a post hoc word that is
you're
also
just talking
applies.
about a norm, a statistical norm, I guess.
Yeah, and it's like, you're like statistically, somebody who has gender dysphoria and goes through for treatment, their brain will match what is normatively considered to be a woman who is born with, you know, like who is born with XX chromosomes. And it's like, so like we either say that gender is sex, or we say that gender is something else that is within the mind, which obviously it is, because, you know, everybody thinks about their gender. Like, you know, your sexuality roughly by like the age of like, you know, by the age of like 10 or so. Like, you can generally say like, oh, I like women, or I like men, or I like that. It's like, we can't judge like for like kids, they generally know their sexuality as well. When they're like everybody, that's the other thing too, is when it comes to like trans rates for like trans kids, everybody's like, well, they're kids, they don't know better. It's like, well, like generally, like when you're like 5, like you have an idea of like who you are as a person.
I don't know.
I
I'm not too
don't.
sure though. But not everyone does. I don't think everyone does.
But
I think I did.
I mean, I was gonna
But I
say
was
like,
still.
well, like I mean, like generally in terms of like an idea of like who you are as a person. I mean, like you generally have an idea that like you are a person who is a separate entity in the world, and you're different from like your friends, and like you accept that like like you
Yeah.
have your own
You
thoughts and
definitely,
things
you
like
definitely
that.
on your way to becoming sure of yourself. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But like roughly around that time, you also kind of like understand that like like there are differences between like boys and girls and things like that, and then a lot of research shows that like 5 or 6 is when trans kids start to like realize that yes, there are differences between boys and girls, but the difference is that like with trans kids, they see themselves more as identifying with the other types of like with the other gender more so,
Yeah, I can
especially
imagine.
like
Yeah,
highly dysphoric. Um,
yeah.
and then like people make the argument where it's like, oh well, people who identify as trans kids still play with boys' toys as kids, and it's like, well, yeah, like who doesn't want to play with like boys' toys as kids? Like fucking boys' toys, at least when I was growing up, was considered like fucking Nintendo, like fucking Sega Genesis and shit. Like girls' toys were like,
Also, which boys wouldn't want to wear a dress as well?
yeah, like
I remember wanting to, and not really being transgender when I grew up.
I mean they're freeing,
Yeah,
and like
I did though. I loved it.
well, like they're like
Yeah, I used to.
dresses
know
are
why.
freeing, and then like also like with you being like in the UK, you could just make the excuse of like, oh, I'm like trying to see like how a kilt feels or something. Like
Yeah, totally.
you have that out if you're caught like that. Like I had like no out when I was caught like at the age of 6, like ruffling through like my sister's clothes, which I did until I was like 16.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm not too sure about the whole culture war over that, because yeah, I just think we should just
Well, and
just let people
like
people
okay,
be the way that they can, and not have culture wars attached to it. I don't think.
they're like the fucking most brain dead take in the culture war thing is like the whole idea of like there being like transgender ideology being forced on the kids. It's like there's a lot of like cringy things that like people do. Obviously, like not every drag queen, like most drag queens generally aren't transgender. They're just people who cross dress. I've seen some people in private express like their discomfort with the fact that like I was talking to somebody in a Discord voice chat, and they expressed the fact that they were extremely uncomfortable with the fact that a streamer like Sneaky, who's really really good at League of Legends, passed really really well as like femme League of Legends characters. But like it's like, well, I mean, you can't really be like mad that somebody just likes to like cross dress for fun and they like find it enjoyable. Like that's the whole part of like sexual liberation. Like if somebody wants to do that, more power to them. Like if anything, they're destroying the norms within the gaming community. Like Fenster's the same way, where it's like Fenster identifies as like he him, but like when Finster's dressed up like a girl, like Finster like is she her. So it's like obviously like cross dressing is different than being transgender. It's something that we've all like gone through. But I find that people like that in gaming make it more acceptable, especially when like they have like massive amounts of reaches. And like I know that like fucking Sonic Fox has a massive amount of reach in the fighting game sphere, but also like Sonic Fox is really really an asshole on Twitter, like, and also I don't know, like
Don't know that
I know
person.
Sonic Fox is a non-binary game fighting game player who like recently like everybody applauded the fact that Sonic Fox is using the trans pride flag at an esports tournament while wearing like while wearing their full fursuit. It was like it's like I hated that only because like I've always felt that like flags in esports were always like cringy. And then like
isn't it a little bit cringy because it's a little bit like kind of neoliberal commodification of your identity kind of thing as well.
well it's cringy on that level, but also just like flags and like like they always try to make esports seem like
Because
it's
these
like
are multi-millionaires. These the guys you're talking about, aren't they?
well yeah, I mean like a lot like most of them were like super like rich.
So I would say that yeah, maybe there is an element of I don't know what you call it, trenders and people jumping on the bandwagon, you know, to make money and things like that. Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's not
it's a conspiracy because it's just people being more freer to be who they want, isn't it? But
like I don't
I guess I can see why some people might do that if there's
yeah like
you know more of a commodification kind of thing.
yeah there's I mean the thing is that like trender is something that like is like a hush word in the community because like you're considered like a trans med if you say like there's trenders, but like on the reverse side like you have to see that like people are
pick the word up from watching a Contra video.
well like the thing is that like you have to see that like people get this idea of that, especially like trans meds like get this idea because like when you have people who go with self ID and they're like, you know, anime avatars on Twitter and they're like, oh well, you know, I choose to be trans. Like when somebody's like I choose to be something, like you're almost giving the conservatives like bullets for them to just put in their gun to like fire back at you.
Yeah, and anyway, what would be the point in challenging them? You know.
Yeah, it's like what am I gonna say? Like you're invalid in your choice. It's like they're valid to make whatever choice they want. Even if it makes me personally feel like everything that I've gone through is fucking invalidated. But also I don't want to be like, oh, just because like I feel hurt, like you should be fucking hurt as well. Because that's just I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like you can't like just go around and like hurt people for hurting.
Is that like you'll get to a point, I don't know, maybe where you'll see like the commodification of it, where it's like it become a bit like I don't know cringe because it's like commodifying the thing that was kind of more kind of personal to you, kind of I don't know.
There is like a certain
I don't know. I'm quite an anti-consumer
fucking garbage
person, so
argument. It's such a
it
fucking
would get my
absolute anecdote.
Something that
Dog shit that she is peddling right now. Chat, this unironically pisses me the fuck off. That
Okay.
let's see.
yeah,
There's gonna be more.
understand what I mean? Like,
It's so I don't know.
in a sense, it's good. In a sense, it's really good because you get that acceptance, I guess. But you also get a kind of bitterness as well, in a certain sense. Is that?
The one thing too is that like with like self ID and things like that, it leads to a lot of like gender abolition, which a lot of people champion gender abolition. I'm a firm belief of like I know it used to be like an old meme, and I'm like, you know, an old person. So it used to be like a meme with like Ren the Bath Boy when he was like around as like a big streamer, where it was like you've got to ground your axioms. So it's like you still need to have a concept of what gender is before you can say this is what we need to abolish. Because you can't like you could go around and say like we should abolish the police because like generally we know what the police are. Like we know what the police are. But when we say like abolish gender, it's like okay, so like what are we talking about with gender? Are we talking about like birth sex? Are we going to raise everybody completely agender? Because that's just going to I don't know how that's going to affect the way that people think. And it's just I don't know like you have to define it.
I guess I can understand the want to push for that for some people, but I just don't like the framing of it. The word revolution. If maybe if they framed it as gender expansion.
Well, I mean,
could be framed the same way, but a lot more positively. But
I know
it sounds.
I know people who are unironically gender abolitionists who really do believe that we should just completely get rid of all pronouns and notions of gender. And it's like, well, we could do that, but like, what's the system that we're using to say
Exactly,
like what
they're not getting rid of gender, rather they're expanding gender.
Yeah,
not
they're
abolishing it.
they're just like blowing it up and saying and saying like, okay, well, this is kind of like
You see what I mean about the linguistic framing, though?
yeah, and it's like so hard too, because then like whenever you try to argue a point against that, they're just like, well, that's not actually what I meant. Like when I said that, like I really meant this kind of abolition. It's the same way with like how when people say ACAB, whenever you push them back on it, it's like, well, when I said ACAB, I actually meant, you know, this specific kind of thing, and like they'll give you like a giant paragraph response to something. It's like, well, no, because like if you meant that, then you would have just said that instead of saying this. You're just saying that so optically you can sort of turn around and say, oh, I actually didn't mean this specific type of thing. It's this whole fucking swamp hole thing. It's like trying to do string theory with like, except the problem is that at least mathematics have like fundamental rules and understanding, and language is something that you really can't like quantify. Like we've tried quantifiable logic, and like as Gödel's proven, it's just completely asinine and false to like even try to do. Like not everything could be logically quantifiable. I don't know.
Good to try.
Yeah, I mean it's always good to have like sort of like an axiomatic framework to work from, but when you refuse to engage in the notion that, you know, maybe like this is like a valid thing, because there are people that are like, well, gender is like an unjust hierarchy. There are people who are post-feminists who are like, well, gender is, you know, just a way of forming control, but also at the same time it's a way that we use to express, you know, very specific traits in society, and if we abolish the notion of gender, then everybody can just do whatever they want. It's like, well, yeah, we technically can, but also it just sort of feels like it's sort of like using people who have like the it's pronoun. Like I understand that that's like a pronoun that we want to have, but it seems like the more and more that we get into things, the more and more that we kind of want to take away like the certain personhood of like people, or like deny like the inevitable like
yeah.
like
It does seem, yeah.
individuality of like people. And people who use that are mostly people who read like Bakunin, who are like you don't actually have like individual rights. Like those are just like myth. It's not like people who read like Adam Smith and shit like that and come away with like sort of like post-Renaissance idea, or like post-Enlightenment ideas of like, oh well, like, you know, we have certain unalienable rights to like think and express the way that we are. Or maybe I'm just like misreading the entire conversation because I'm so high, but I've thought about that for a while. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. Is Irene not through this video yet?
Find that shit coexisting. Realize that shit is fucking dangerous. Realize.
Wow.
Gotta make tea.
Still.
Yeah, so you can stream something if you want. I mean, I think I'm your only watch. I can stream something for your viewers.
Yeah, right now I'm playing Shadowverse. Okay, what deck should I use real quick before you make tea? If you're still here. Messages from Beyond, Renaissance. I want to use Corpse Burns Reckon. Yes. Shadowverse is like really cool. It's like a knockoff of, I don't want to say it's a knockoff of Hearthstone. Like you don't specifically have to pay for like everything, because you could just use the gold that you use in the game for your card packs. But also at the same time, like you're still like playing online with like your battle cards. So it has like the same kind of mechanics as Hearthstone, which is fun. I don't know. Let's take a look and see. Meanwhile, I am going to. Okay, so since it's my turn, it's technically like paused. So let's go. Let's see if there's an open Bastiat video. And not like Bastiat the streamer. I hope. Oh god, this is a fucking Ron Paul video. Grossness. The Law Explained.
Great book. It's short, you can get it free online.
Welcome. I'm Marvin Payne, your host and reader for this time we have together. This audiobook is provided as a free service from freeaudio.org. We hope you enjoy it. Please feel free to share this audiobook with your friends or neighbors, put it on your website, or distribute it via your favorite file sharing service. All we ask is that no material is added or removed from this audiobook. freeaudio.org is entirely listener supported, so we encourage you to visit our website and to make a donation so that we may make similar books available in audiobook format. This audiobook's audio is copyright 2003 freeaudio.org. The text's copyright is copyright 1998, the Foundation for Economic Education. You may visit their website at www.fee.org or www.laissezfairebooks.com. The Law by Frederic Bastiat. Translated from the French by Dean Russell. Introduction by Walter E. Williams. Forward by Sheldon Richman. Introduction. Walter E. Williams. I must have been 40 years old before reading Frederic Bastiat's classic, The Law. An anonymous person to whom I shall eternally be in debt mailed me an unsolicited copy. After reading the book, I was convinced that a liberal arts education without an encounter with Bastiat is incomplete. Reading Bastiat made me keenly aware of all the time wasted, along with the frustrations of going down one blind alley after another, organizing my philosophy of life. The Law did not produce a philosophical conversion for me, as much as it created order in my thinking about liberty and just human conduct. Many philosophers have made important contributions to
listening
the
to
discourse
some
on liberty,
Frederic Bastiat.
But Bastiat's greatest contribution is that he took the discourse out of the ivory tower and made ideas on liberty so clear that even the unlettered can understand them, and statists cannot obfuscate them. Clarity is crucial to persuading our fellow man of the
I love that. I love that somebody used the word statist.
Like others, Bastiat recognized the greatest single threat to liberty is government. Notice the clarity he to help us identify.
The thing is that like it's obviously like, you know, like when they say statists, like it's obviously like because it's Bastiat, it's obviously, and not like Bastiat the streamer, but it's, you know, Bastiat the you know, French like economic and political philosopher. But whenever like he like now whenever we always assume that they're like conservatives or something, but like when he used it, it was literally like you know, just people who supported like the French revolutionary state and like their acts of terror and shit. So like old ways of using it, so it's kind of weird to hear it like that.
I'm a statist anarchist.
I don't know.
Not to be confused with a national anarchist.
You don't want to be a national. Yeah, you don't want to be a Nanan. I'm assuming
they're
that
basically fascists.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm assuming that's what the what like the Nazified version of anarchism would be. That, or there's black-pilled anarchism, which is also like black-pilled anarchism or nihilist anarchism, which is just like fucking cringe because it's just like Nazism but with like some book chin shit in it. I don't know. But then again, like it kind of makes sense because like even fucking Kropotkin was pretty anti-Semitic, so I don't know. It's
wow.
Yeah. I mean, everybody at that time was, especially in Russia. I don't know.
Yeah, it was from Christian culture. So.
Yeah, because like when you read like early atheist work or like early edgy kids work, like if you were to read like Might is Right, which, you know, obviously is like now like, well, it's always sort of been like a like it's always been a like proto-fascist book and like sort of like proto-eugenics book, but at the same time, like whenever they talk in regards to like all religion or all like Christianity, they always say things like the Jewish prophet or like the Jewish God to like refer to those within like those who follow like Christianity as like a sort of like semi-slur. And it's like, oh, that's so, no, I don't know. It's fucked up the way that society's always like used anti-Semitism as like the default, even against like, even as like people who were supposedly about like erasing all religions. They're always like, well, obviously to do that we have to first be extremely racist. Alright, let's see. What? I wonder what.
But that's not what Jesus taught.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
Jesus said you should love the Gentiles.
Do you think she can remember
like,
where
well,
the
once
religious languages in the Constitution?
He had like his own like atheist Bible or whatever, or like a Bible that had all the religious aspects removed.
Jefferson.
He also
Yeah.
said,
hold on here.
Christianity was absolutely not true.
He
It's
also
not in any of
talked
the
to the
writings
Good
anywhere. It's not in
Samaritan.
any of the laws
Yeah.
codified in any of the like. It's just
I mean,
it's not a Christian nation. It's just not the case.
Which is a bit of a
She
backhanded
knows that
slur,
it
really,
is.
a
It
backhanded
has to be a
compliment, really,
Christian
isn't it?
nation.
yeah, it's like I don't know. I'd like, despite the fact that I was born and raised Muslim, I would rather any day be called Jewish than I would to be called a Christian, just based off of how every single person in the world who identifies with Christianity in history has been like an absolute monster. Like shit, a lot of like Nazi Germany was defined by the positive Christianity movement, which was basically, we're going to take Christianity but instead replace the Romans with the Jews, and then we're going to say that actually Jesus was like a freedom fighter and fighting against like the Jewish ruling classes. And it's like, that's obvious. Like anybody who's fucking read the fucking New Testament, he was facing the fucking Roman occupation of Judea. Like,
Yeah,
that's the entire narrative.
It also made no sense that it was the Jews that demanded that Jesus was crucified.
Yeah, and it was like,
obviously a political move because he was challenging their authority.
yeah, and it was like a really, it's like super fucking ad hoc to like throw in there too, because like yeah, there were probably like people within like the rebellion that, because like remember, he came around like after like the third Jewish revolt, so it was like obviously the Romans didn't like him, but there were still like people in like the Judean occupational government that were sympathetic to the Romans. So it's like it's possible that like some of them liked it, but like on a whole, like it wasn't the Jewish people that wanted to do it, and it just became
embracing my.
Oh,
I'm embracing my my Christian roots a little bit, my Christian upbringing, because my mom, I'm trying to pull her away from the right wing like
that's
conspiracy Christian stuff. So I've been trying to immerse myself in left wing Christian stuff a little bit. And do you know what? Jesus really was lefty. It really was.
Yeah,
he's just been so.
He's been so.
There's a verse in the Bible. No, I'll tell you what it is. I sent it to my mum earlier. 2 Thess 3:10. Paul didn't want the poor to go hungry, rather the food be taken from the rich and the idle rich redistributed to the working poor. That has been translated so many different ways.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're talking about the
other way it's translated is just idle poor. It completely flips it. So really, the verse is talking about idleness in general, isn't it? Rather than
like
focusing it towards the rich or the poor, because both can be.
A lot of people will be like, oh well, you know, when Jesus said this, he really meant, like, the one thing that fucking kills me, obviously, like, I've read the Bible, like, you know, all I've fucking done like as a kid was read. Like, I read and I played video games and I lusted after dudes. Like, that was my entire life, like up until I got kicked out of my house. But like, the thing is that, like, unironically, these are the people that will argue that when Jesus said that like a rich man has a better chance of getting through the eye of a needle than he does getting into heaven, or it's like they'll be like, oh well, you know, the eye of the needle was the name of a bridge or the name of a tunnel crossing, and it's like A, that makes no fucking sense, and B, that's literally not what it says. Like if you read the original Greek translation, he's pretty clear on the notion.
All of a sudden, then they're not literal fundamentalists.
Yeah, it's like no. What was actually meant was the notation that this was.
That was an allegory. You see, you have to read it with the spirit.
The Bible is the Bible is completely allegory up until it contradicts the Bible is completely 100% absolute fact, but the minute that it contradicts what you're saying is the moment that it becomes allegory, which is fucking hilarious on so many levels. Also, I'm just trying to make like so many fucking demon spirit cards right now. I just want to have like a fucking death squad. I want to be able to like death note somebody. That'd be fucking great. Because I have 8. So now I'm bringing them down to 8. But fuck it. No, I lost my turn. Also, but like, I don't know. It's like... And the Catholic Church didn't help at all. Because they were the ones that were like the original Passion story. Where it was like, oh, actually it was the Jews. Because, the fucking fucking Catholic Church was based in Rome. It doesn't make sense for them to be like, yeah, we did that, obviously, but it's okay, we're sorry. So it's like they're like ever since the beginning there's been political reasons to do this.
After the Second World War, the Pope decreed an edict which absolved Jews from any
and plus remember like even Paul, like before then, like the first pope was like, actually, yeah, despite the fact that I was barbaric and destroyed like so many, because early Christianity was considered just to be a sect of Judaism. So it was like, yeah, even though I just went out and did like all of these war crimes, like it's okay that I did those, because you see, actually, like Jesus showed up to me and told me that it was okay that I did that, because the Jews who worship Jesus aren't actually like, they're not the real kind. It's like a Trekkie style argument of like, they're not the real kind of Jews. It's like, yes, they are. It's like, you're just doing this because like you want to like make your own brand off of this, and also you're Roman, so you have like a vested interest in people not hating you. So anyways, economics. No, but I understand what you're talking about with your mom. I've had to do the same with mine, especially when I came out as trans here, because like when I was a child, my grandma always like the one that was married to my grandfather who passed away on Friday, like I have 4 sisters, so my house was like, and my parents were divorced, so like my house was literally like women only, and like literally it was, because I've never considered myself to be like a boy and a like woman only house. Like I consider myself to be one of the girls in the girl house, and we were just like all fucking cool. But the thing is that like when I came out as trans, like she understood that like my grandma would like cross-dress me when I was a kid, because I enjoyed it, and also like I just looked like a girl as like a kid. And like obviously like that had a lot to do with my genetic disorder. So it's like, okay, so like it made sense. And I've always felt like a girl, so at the same time it's like, yeah, like I felt that way. So it was like you could do it like my grandma and my mom came to like this deal where it was like you could do it in private, because like my grandma would cite specific Surah verses where it was like, well, it's not like illegal to like dress like as a person of like the other sex, where I believe in the New Testament there is like a rule against that, where it's like one of like 3 things that Jesus supposedly said that was and I say supposedly because I don't trust the King James translation whatsoever. I think the New Septuagint translation is probably the best way to go about reading it, just because it would be far more accurate. But because like doesn't the King James version translate the Nephilim to be like just giant, when it's like actually technically like they're entities that are completely different and untold unto angels, demons, and man? I don't know. And also translates every version of Satan into the devil, which makes no sense in terms of the story. It also translates the snake into the devil. Which...
Yeah, that was Renegade Cut. I was watching a lot of his videos just lately, and he's got quite a few where
he's got
Christian.
He's also got quite a few videos that fucking suck too. So
yeah, he does.
Plus, he's an ass. He's an asshole on Twitter.
He was. He just blocked me with making a joke. I even winked with it. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's why you've got to kill your heroes. Oh, I want to hear this. Looks like she's ranting.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
then
fix
interact with him
her
on Twitter.
wagon good. Yes, I'll take this potion and turn into an old lady and come by with it.
What the
Well,
fuck is
dearie,
your-
would you like this apple? And no comment check took the apple and was like, oh, cool, yeah, I'm actually really hungry right now. Like,
It's
fell
starting
asleep
to get
for,
light here, so I've
for
got to get
several
off.
hundred years.
Otherwise,
Luckily,
my
though,
All right, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to.
Reset.
that fucking case.
I'm gonna listen to Bastiat. I'm gonna try to see what is going on here. Like, I'm gonna listen to some Friedrich Bastiat for like another. I'm probably gonna go to bed at 1 just because I gotta wake up, shower, get dressed, and everything for the debate tomorrow. Then I gotta talk with Eris tomorrow as well.
Enjoy. And
yeah.
good luck with your stream.
I'm hoping it's gonna go well. Most of it's just like yesterday my research stream. I was just watching and I was like, and I was just like, well, I could fucking just argue that. Like, I don't even need to take notes. Like, I just argue like how that's fucking wrong. But yeah.
Yeah, you should do.
Yeah, and because it was like there's no like one specific anarchist philosophy. Like, I acknowledge that in my opening statement, where it's like it's not like we're specifically going to be arguing like free markets versus like free markets with a really, really incredible social safety net that ensures that nobody goes hungry or like poor or like homeless, versus like fucking Bookchin's like mutualism. It's like we're
Argue Keynesianism.
I mean, that's essentially what I'm describing, right? Like,
See, everyone's a secret liberal.
yeah, like
I'm telling you.
I've actually just embraced. I've just embraced that. I'm a fucking liberal. Like, why the fuck not?
Let's go with it.
Yeah, I'd much rather be a liberal than a fucking tanky. Because apparently, to be a tanky, you have to use caps locks at all times. Like, I don't know. Either way, have a good one, Jeff.
That kept her safe and that took care of her. So chat, we're gonna try to revive me socially. We're gonna try to bring me back to life, and we're gonna trade places with those awful jackasses that canceled us, and they are scared. Dylan, Sonia, I would be scared too if I were in your position, but then I would never be in your position because I would never undertake such a massive legal risk. Teach me about how guns work. How do I shoot you with the gun and make it go poo and stuff? Like, you got to teach me how to do that. So I'll be back. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe on YouTube. I don't know. I'll be back somewhere later tonight. But I gotta take a little bit of break and then I will be back. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching this with me. What the fuck's going on with Destiny? We'll find out. I mean, I'm sure he'll be back in a week or two. I think so, right, chat? That seems most likely. I don't see Destiny staying off Twitch for very long. Anyway. Much love. Moe Kyun!
Great book. It's short. You can get it free online now. The link will be in the description.
Ah, that's not the video I wanted. Jesus Christ.
Is the
Stop this nonsense. Where's the actual law by Friedrich Bastiat? we go.
See if the law takes from some persons what belongs to them, and gives it to other persons to whom it does not belong. See if the law benefits one citizen at the expense of another, by doing what the citizen himself cannot do without committing a crime. With such an accurate description of legalized plunder, we cannot deny the conclusion that most government activities, including ours, are legalized plunder, or for the sake of modernity.
True. Most government activities are just legalized plunder because the governments make the rules.
Legalized theft. Frederick Bastiat could have easily been a fellow traveler of the signers of our Declaration of Independence. The signers' vision of liberty.
No, because the signers' version of liberty didn't include black people.
And the proper role of government was captured in the immortal words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men." Bastiat echoes the identical vision, saying life, faculties, production, in other words, individuality, liberty, property, that is man. And in spite of the cunning of artful political leaders, these three gifts from God precede all human legislation and are superior to it. Bastiat gave the same rationale for government as did our founders, saying life, liberty, and property do not exist because men have made laws. On the contrary, it is the fact that life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that caused men to make laws in the first place. No finer statements of natural or God-given rights have been made than those found in our Declaration of Independence and the law. Bastiat pinned his hopes for liberty on the United States, saying, "Look at the United States. There is no country in the world where the law is kept more within its proper domain, the protection of every person's liberty and property. As a consequence of this, there appears to be no country in the world where the social order rests on a firmer foundation." Writing in 1850, Bastiat noted two areas where the United States fell short. Quote, "Slavery is a violation by law of liberty. The protective tariff is a violation by law of property." End of quote. If Bastiat were alive today,
fucking
he would be
seeds.
disappointed with our failure to keep the law within its proper domain.
This is
Over the course of a
if you don't want seeds in any joints that you roll, don't use a tobacco roller, just because that will definitely ensure that anything they're rolling, despite like you could roll it so you have filters on it, and then they just look like regular cigarettes, and then you just rip the end off, and then you have like a perfect one. And then after that, yeah. Okay, who should I evolve? Let's do that. Let's get to fucking Necromancer.
century and a half, we have created more than 50,000 laws. Most of them permit the state to initiate violence against those who have not initiated violence against others. These laws range from anti-smoking laws for private establishments and Social Security contributions to licensure laws and minimum wage laws. In each case, the person who resolutely demands
minimum wage laws are good, though. Whoever wrote this forward's a fucking dumbass.
and defends his God-given right to be left alone can ultimately suffer death at the hands of our government. Bastiat explains the call for laws that restrict peaceable voluntary exchange and punish the desire to be left alone by saying that socialists want to play God. Socialists look upon people as raw material to be
They do, that's true.
formed into social combinations. To them, the elite, the relationship between persons and the legislator appears to be the same as the relationship between the clay and the potter. And for people who have this vision, Bastiat displays the only anger I find in the law when he lashes out at do-gooders and would-be rulers of mankind. Quote, "Ah, you miserable creatures, you who think that you are so great, you who judge humanity to be so small, you who wish to reform everything, why don't you reform yourselves? That task would be sufficient enough." Bastiat was an optimist who thought that eloquent arguments in defense of liberty might save the day. But history is not on his side. Mankind's history is one of systematic, arbitrary abuse and control by the elite acting privately, through the church, but mostly through government. It is a tragic history where hundreds of millions of unfortunate souls have been slaughtered, mostly by their own government. A historian writing 200 or 300 years from now might view the liberties that existed for a tiny portion of mankind's population, mostly in the Western world, for only a tiny portion of its history, the last century or two, as a historical curiosity that defies explanation. That historian might also observe that the curiosity was only a temporary phenomenon, and mankind reverted back
I'm
to
sure
the
that you could
traditional
probably
state of
hear like all this shit. Ooh, that's a good point. That is true. It's kind of different to think about it like that. The idea that injustice or that justice only occurs because society is unjust. True. All right. Well, I am going to get off here for tonight. As always, subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Twitch channel. My Discord is up in the corner. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/omnifeudalism. And I just wanted to say that I love all of you, and I hope that you have a good rest of your night.